Good morning, and welcome back to part 2 of building a chicken and duck egg incubator. So, paint's dry this morning. Since I saw you last, I added that little bracket right there on the side. That will be the controller that controls humidity and temperature. It arrived yesterday from Amazon. Wait a minute, I'll show it to you here. Okay, so there's what that is. We're going to mount that there on that bracket. And then we're going to run conduit to a main junction box that'll be back here. Well, I'll show you all that as I go along. So we're going to pull the shelves out and start running some electrical conduit. Oh, I spent $38 for electrical parts. That's conduit, outlets, boxes. I had a whole bunch of wire. I always save any kind of, like if I have a appliance go bad, I cut the cord off of it, whatever. So I keep all that because that wire's expensive. So I've got a stash of wire that we're going to dig into. But I bought all the other electronic components except the wire for $38. So that's where we're at on that. I'll get started and come back and catch you up here in a few minutes. Okay. So I even bought a few things extra I didn't end up needing or won't need probably, but that's all right. They're there for the next project. So, 2 junction boxes, 3 box connectors, 190 elbow, 1 junction box connector. I'm not sure what you call those. The lid opens on it, and I'll pull this out, take that lid off, and deal with the wires, getting everything through. 6 wires have to go through there, and I'll explain that in a minute. But anyway, I'll get all those through, and then I'll feed it back the way it goes. So 6 wires go through that. The main power cord that'll plug into the outlet will come in here, and then 110 power from there. 2 wires, neutral and power, positive. 2 wires go from there to feed the control panel. And then 2 other wires come back to control the heat, and 2 other wires come back to control the humidity. So 6 wires total have to end up in that junction box from the controller. So I'll get all those fed through, and then I'll carry on, explain. So as I mentioned, I see wire off of stuff I threw away or whatever. So we had an air conditioner go bad this spring, and this had a GFI outlet or plug on it. So I'm going to use that as my main power supply. Why not? I've got it. So that's what this hole is. It'll feed through there from the back. So I'll get a connector in there and bring that wire through, and we're all set. Alright, so this is the sensor for the humidity and the temperature. And I was thinking I'm going to have to drill a big hole to get that sensor through the cabinet. I don't really want to pull the wire from the control panel. So I hated drilling another big hole, and then it occurred to me, if I take this back apart, I can put the sensor through that hole and zip tie the sensor wire to the conduit, clear around, and mount the sensor back here. So it's an afterthought, and I'm going to have to undo things to do that, but I think it'll be a good way to do it. I'll be back. Alright, so there's the sensor wire in and the sensor mounted. And I just sort of put it somewhere in the middle there to get kind of an average temperature and humidity. So hopefully that'll be a good spot. So just to be safe, it was a lot easier to do these connections out here and then pull the wire back through so the connections are in this box. But there's no way I'd get 6 wire nuts back through that conduit. So to be safe, I soldered these connections, and then I'm just going to black tape them to slide them back through. So that's where we're at. Okay, explanation time. So this red wire right here, right there, comes from the controller on the heat control side. This wire goes down to there to run a light bulb for the heat. The other red wire jumps over to that for the other light bulb. And then the white wire, same way. This is the neutral, goes from the controller on the heat side. That white wire goes down to here, and then a white wire jumps from there over to there. So that'll control the heat. So I gotta get, so also this box will have 2 duplex outlets in it that'll be hot all the time, and that's where the egg turners will plug in, so they'll always turn unless they're unplugged. This black wire here, right here, only goes through this box to over here. That is the humidity control side, and the humidifier will be plugged in. There'll be one outlet here that'll be hot all the time tied to this. That'll run the fans. Then the other outlet will be tied to this black wire, which will run the humidifier from the control panel. All right, now I'll be back here in a few minutes. Okay, so these 4 outlets are always hot, and that'll be the egg turners. And I'm going to make new labels for those. And they jump across to this outlet, which is always hot, which will run the fans. And then this wire is tied to the control panel to run the humidifier, and it'll be on its own outlet beside that one. I'll be right back. Okay, so there's the outlets for the egg turners with labels. And there's the outlet that'll run the fans. And there's the outlet that'll run the humidifier. So that's all wired in. Now we got to wire in our lights down here that provide the heat. All right, so there's the heat source. The only thing left to do is hook up or mount fans. They'll just plug into the outlet for the fans. But I got to mount them. I got to figure that out. I talked to, there's a company that makes incubators called Hatch Time. And they also, if you're interested, sell a kit for a DIY incubator. And basically it's a rack that sits in there with the egg turners in it. And then you can buy the heaters and the humidifiers and stuff as parts to build your own from them. And I didn't do that only because I had all the components I needed, really, from the other incubator. So I had, 4 egg turners already, and they're sitting over here waiting. So I didn't need to do that. There's the fans. So anyway, I talked to them about where to mount the fans. And their fans, they said, now they have a door front and back, which is nice because you can get to both sides for cleaning, but not a huge deal. And they told me their incubator that's this size just has one fan, and that fan is mounted on the back door, which would be the same as my back wall, blowing forward. And yeah, I guess that's all right. it seems like something ought to blow down. I'm not sure just how I'm going to do it yet, how I'm going to configure them. I have two, so I can have one down, one forward, both down. I don't know. I'm going to take a break here, grab something to drink, think about it, and you'll see what I decided in a minute. Okay, so there's the verdict. It just makes sense to me. Heat rises. So you want to blow it back down, and it's going to come back up on its own. Plus the air is going to come up and go into the fan. So it just makes more sense to me. And it'll be blowing down behind the egg trays. If I had it facing forward, it'd kind of be blowing across that top egg turner, which I don't like the wind blowing right on the eggs, might dry them out. So that's why I decided to face them down. Okay, now I gotta clean some stuff up here, and I'll be back here in a minute. Alright, so I think it's pretty well done. 4 egg turners, 41 eggs per turner would be what, 164 eggs? And when I do the next video, which will be the finale, the final, which will be installing the humidifier, then I'm going to be real creative with and make. When I do that video, I'll do a rundown of the entire costs. We're in it for under 400, and I'm including, I built, I rebuilt the cabinet I had, but I know about what I had in it. You could make this cabinet with one sheet. I used MDF, by the way. You could use 3/4 plywood, but I think MDF's a little more insulating, maybe, kind of because it's denser, and it's nice to work with. It's expensive, but it's nice to work with. So, I think we're at like $350 probably, but I'll figure all the costs of everything and add it all up in the final video. So it's ready to fire up, sorta. One of the things that I read about the controller, everything needs to be under a load before you turn the controller on. And without the humidifier, I don't have a load there. But I think I'm just gonna plug something else in so there is a load on that circuit. I'll see what I come up with here and be back here in a few minutes. Something else I had to mention. One of the challenges here, as you're running your cords for your egg turners, you got to make sure there's no cords near the bulbs where you'll get hot and maybe can melt your wiring, and make sure there's nothing that's going to get tangled in the egg turner and jam them and burn up your egg turner motor. So just get creative, and I'm not real worried about what all those wires look like as long as they work. Alright, I'll be back here in a few minutes. Alright, so I grabbed one of my old heat lamps and plugged it into the circuit for the humidifier. So that'll put a load, that'll give me a load on that circuit. The light bulbs for the heat, obviously, are the load for the heat circuit. And everything else is just hot, so not from the controller, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, so I'm going to look at the manual here a few minutes and see if I can figure out how to program this bad boy. It's always a challenge. Kind of a learning curve, but we'll get it. Be right back. Alright, I'm going to let you enjoy this glorious moment with me. I'm about to plug it in. I read the programming. It's pretty simple on this one. To set the temperature, you press and hold the up arrow 3 seconds, and then you're setting the stop temperature, and then you press and hold the down button for 3 seconds, and your arrows run the it shuts it down. So the down arrow turns it off, the up arrow turns it on. So I'm going to program it after I plug it in. When I plug it in, if it doesn't pop and snap and crackle, we're good. We'll see. Well, okay, so the heat lamp went off. Everything went off actually, probably because we are at the settings that are on the scale. So I'm gonna reset temperature and we'll see what's going on. The fans are running, so, and the control panel's on, so we're okay. So we're gonna start up at I'm gonna start at about 98 degrees. Actually, I think I'll start it at 98.5. Alright, and it doesn't say about, okay, it's saved. I was going to say, it didn't say anything about how you save that. So it'll shut down at 98.5. It'll start up. I'm sorry, it'll start up at 98.5. I want it to shut down at 100. Now those lights should kick on. And you're not. I'm not sure why they're not. Here's why they're not. Ooh, I hope I didn't hurt anything. I didn't have a load on it. So those sockets were turned off. Okay. So that's supplying heat, and if it gets up to 100, it'll shut it off. I got the door open because I got a cord running in there. But anyway, now we're going to set humidity. So we want the wanted to start up if the humidity gets below we'll set it at 49% for starters. Okay, yeah, I just had to raise a lure perimeter too. So if the humidifier was in there and if the door was closed, that should kick on and off automatically. It's 86 degrees in the incubator, so until it hits 100, those lights inside would stay on. The humidity in the incubator right now is 62%, so it's calling for humidity, and if the humidifier was in there and working and raising it, when it got to 70%, it would shut it off. So, looks like everything's functioning the way it should. Hey, thanks for watching the video. I hope if you're thinking about building an incubator, something I did will help you out. If you see anything I maybe could have done better or different, please comment. Part 3 is coming up. As soon as I get the stuff here, it's ordered from actually eBay. It's a week out, so part 3 will be a week, but when we do it, we're going to build the humidifier and we'll fire it up and let it reach temperature and let it reach humidity level, and I'll give you a final cost of the whole project and we'll sum it up. So please hit a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you won't miss the third section of this project, and you'll see the whole thing finished. I'll see you next video.